Today, Rinpoche continued the extremely complex section on special insight in Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, showing how the real root of the teaching came from Lord Nagarjuna and his spiritual son Aryadeva, and sometimes sons, if we say Chandrakirti as well. Ja Dunju Dunchi. Abja Dunju Dunchi. Abja Dunju. Chi Nipa Data Yin. Are we all set? We good? Rich, we're all set, right? Okay. Decent. Okay. So, again, welcome everyone to the Chen Reza Tibetan Buddhist Center. We are on, just for a frame of reference, when we do get started with the text, page 115 in the English. And it's just right at the top, number 2, the history of the commentary on Nagarjuna's intended meaning. But before we begin, we look at what this text contains. This text is actually, the Great Treatise on the Stage of the Path to Enlightenment, was written by Lama Tsongkhapa and is actually a commentary on Atisha's Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, which is a very summarized text, only a couple pages long, but the contents are exactly the same. What are those contents? If you wanted to summarize all of Lord Buddha's teachings into categories, you could do so by dividing them into 3 specific categories. These are called the teachings shared in common with beings of the teachings for beings of 3 capacities. So if you were to take everything the Buddha ever taught, you could find it in one of these categories. So the teachings for beings of 3 capacities. So the first category of teaching is called the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity. These are teachings for beings who wish to just achieve rebirth in the higher realms of cyclic existence in their next lives, into the gods and humans realms. So this practitioner engages in going for refuge to the 3 jewels, engaging in ethics that abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities, and then acknowledges one's downfalls or confesses one's negativities if he or she engaged in any among those 10 negativities that they're trying to abstain from. And in dependence upon these practices of going for refuge and engaging in ethical behavior, one is able to achieve this rebirth in the higher realms, and these are called teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity. The next category is called the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity, and these teachings are for beings who wish to achieve complete nirvana, their own individual liberation. Not a complete Buddhahood for others, just for their own sake. So this type of practitioner engages in what's called the 3 highest higher trainings. The highest higher training in ethics, highest higher training in concentration, and the highest higher training in wisdom. And in dependence upon these 3 highest higher trainings, and also inferred the previous teachings within the small capacity, this practitioner is able to achieve complete nirvana or liberation. And then the last category of teachings is called the teachings for beings of great capacity. And these teachings are for beings who wish to achieve complete Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So this practitioner engages in all the practices mentioned and then couples them with the generation of the mind that aspires to enlightenment or bodhicitta, and then from that generation he or she is a bodhisattva and engages in the 6 perfections. And in dependence upon those practices, this practitioner is able to achieve Buddhahood. So Atisha and then Lama Tsongkhapa were able to put the teachings into an order which showed a practitioner how to go from the entrance to Buddha's teachings, the very beginning, to complete Buddhahood in a graduated fashion. Whereas before, you have the Kangjur and the Tanjur, which are the pronouncements of Lord Buddha, and the authentic Indian commentaries, which are very difficult to really get the meaning of. And once you do, you have to try to put them in an order to practice. Atisha and then Lama Tsongkhapa made it very easy to practice and made it so that one understood what the first practice was, what the second practice was, and why they depended upon each other. So it's these texts are considered the summary of the Kangjur and Tanjur, which are the pronouncements of Lord Buddha, which are around 100 texts we have here, and the authentic Indian commentaries, which are 213. So I had asked Rinpoche before. He said to include some of the history. You saw him talk very short. I'm talking a lot longer, but he said to include that, so I did. Dison Rinpoche. Detsko, so Nagarjuna presented the middle way philosophy. And the middle way philosophy, and specifically with Nagarjuna, the middle way consequence school philosophy, is as follows. The establishment that all phenomena are empty because they dependently originate. Because all phenomena are dependent or interdependent, dependently originate, they are necessarily not inherently existent. They are not truly established. Therefore, they are empty. So Nagarjuna presented this middle way philosophy, and that's what we're going to get into now, the history of commentary on Nagarjuna's intended meaning. Disong Rinpoche.
Shinjima Luba Deyu, Ludu Je Gumba, De Rimba Chetar Shonyana, De la Habalana, Luben Sanji Jantan, Luben Sanji Jantan, Leden Jetan, Dawa Dabadan, Shiva Sula Subi, Omaba Chamba Naji Jan, Luben Dan Dawa, Luben Dawa, Saman Zembe, Saman Zembe, Yazi, Niga, Omaba, Jenaji, Konyebe, Haroba Nana, Tenila, Jonshimi, Omaba Shebadan, Jenala, Shud Zembe, Omaba She, Tanya Jedo, Tila, Harobi, Gishini, Kachinare, Tanya Jugune, Mitabe, Omabani Nide, Tanya do, Shri Yabandebi, Dudi, Shebi Omabadan, Dudi Shebi Omabadan, Tanya do Shri Mabandeba, Nanju Shebi, Omabala, Omarajubala, Dudujebe, Omarajubadan, Najujebe, Omarajubani, Ores, Dudujebe, Omabazana, Dudubadan to be Omi Rudan Zingatala, Dudujebe, Omabadan, Sansabadan to be Rudan Zingatala, Najujebe, Omabas, Omabawo.
Okay.
De Zujugune, Mitaba, Nide, Hanton, Nizu Deba, Juma Redubadan, Hala, Trubanaba Jibi, Trubanaba Jizan, Deba, Rodo, Maneba Mao, Tiniji, Hamane, Shivazudan, Kamala Jila Zuba, Ibadula, Juma, Tabudan, Rodo, Menebi Tanyene, Jagay Lubin, kachi jang dodo shira omaba na omaba kechiwa jabeji lhuban gare tatato doba yue me jang lhuban lodu ji jesu dambi omaba chenpa na ji lo jedar yi tenla oba shayi chama na sushi shiba nu yen yang tuntang de su jugu ne nyin su jaba ne muba ngoza shibi na ja go shi lo tawa chenpo lo den shiro sungwa ne shintu le de dada ki ndoba ne rishi jiba ki yeyu tuntang deba dang rishi ji ye la tuntang deba dang tunbi tuntang ji taba oma jen dang oma nawa nika ne sumbi shiro oma ba chenpo na ne jang ribi tuba jibi tuntang zang la tuntang denpa maribi leba mayi no de la lupin ishi de nare lupin papa yasi ji omi tenju zeba le shi ten yume ji chu sawa ma zi la ti wudu lupin le denji ji namba riba zang ji lo sun shung de tanyen do shi ten yubi lo nabar jago tene lupin shiwa tsu su nenju shubi yung la tene tanyen do shuri meba dang ten dangbar sen raji meba tenbi omi su mundawa shi zebe oma ba naba nyi su zungshin hama la dodo shubi oma ba sheba dang shima la nenju shubi oma ba she tazo cheba ne shungyu rinpa tatato nyogo yuan jang lupin daga tabi dodo shubi oma sha murung la tishin to shirato mawa da tunbi deba shinto marizo kanri chuji shidaji keba na oma bala tanjuwa dang rangju ba nyi ji tanyen jeba ne chise dang tunbi rangzu musang mo te dang tanyen to shuru ba tanyen to shuru de mundu nyi su nga la dang ba tongba nyi nga bi tawa ju la jisu jugu ne min du nang tarang nyi su nga ba yin no.
Ngepa yino?
Ya,
Nisu ngepa yino?
nyi su nga ba yin no.
Okay.
Rangju
Then
ba da tanju.
Una lopun deta gutsa?
Ya,
Okay, I want to make sure we're all on the same page, literally. The history of commentary on Nagarjuna's intended meaning. Nagarjuna gave flawless commentary on Scripture, e.g., the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, that teach that all phenomena, and this is what Rinpoche was just explaining, that teach that all phenomena are without any intrinsically existent production, cessation, and so forth. What is the history of the commentary on Nagarjuna's thought? Both the father, Nagarjuna, and his spiritual son, Aryadeva, are sources for the other Madhyamikas. Even great Madhyamikas Madhyamakas, such as the masters Buddhapalita, Bhavavega, Chandrakirti, and Chandarashita, took Aryadeva to be an authoritative, as authoritative as the master Nagarjuna. Therefore, earlier Tibetan scholars used the term Madhyamikas of the fundamental text for the two, and the term partisan Madhyamikas for the others. In the past, there were some Tibetan teachers who said that when Madhyamikas are described in terms of how they posit conventionalities, there are two types. Sautrantika Madhyamikas, who assert that external objects exist conventionally, and Yogacara Madhyamikas, who assert that external objects do not exist conventionally. So when we divide Madhyamaka into categories, we can divide it into two major headings. Madhyamika, in English, the middle way consequence school and the middle way autonomy school. So those are the two major headings. The middle way autonomy school has two, Rinpoche stopped and to explain this. The middle way autonomy school has two divisions. The two divisions are the Sautrantika Madhyamaka, so that's an autonomy school, but a division of it. And the Sautrantika Madhyamaka leans towards the Sutra school. So if we look at, and just as a translator's note, there are four major tenet systems: the Great Exposition system, the Sutra school, the Mind-Only school, and the Middle Way school. So we're just talking about the highest school and its divisions, and saying that the highest school has two divisions. The lower division among the two is called the autonomy school, and it has two divisions. And those two divisions, one of them tends towards the Sutra school philosophy, and that's the Sautrantika Madhyamaka. And then the other leans towards the mind-only school philosophy, and that's the Yogacara Madhyamaka. So these are the way that you divide the two. We can find the English for... I can't remember what the Sanskrit. Rinpoche, the Ranjupa Sandrake Garre. The Umi Tenjor Madhyamika Prasangika.
Yeah.
The Uma Ranjupa Sandrake Chiran Shingdue.
Shigabare.
I was asking Rinpoche, he wouldn't have any reason to know the Sanskrit. We just study it like that, but I was curious if he knew the Sanskrit. So anyway, there's the middle way consequence school, middle way autonomy school. Consequence school is its own school. There's not divisions or anything. The middle way autonomy school has two divisions. One is similar to the Sutra school. The other one is similar to the mind-only school. They have leanings in those directions. So then this will go on to say that, is that even necessary? Scholars debate whether those really divisions are needed, but that's scholar talk. Where did I leave off? Somebody, it was where this, right here. In the past, there were some Tibetan masters who said that when Madhyamikas are described in terms of how they posit conventionalities, there are two types. Sautrantika Madhyamaka, who assert that external objects exist conventionally, and Yogacara Madhyamaka, who assert that external objects do not exist conventionally. Madhyamikas are also of two types when described in terms of how they assert the ultimate. The proponents of rationally established illusion assert that a composite of appearance and emptiness is an ultimate truth, and the proponents of thorough non-abiding assert that the mere eliminations of elaborations with regard to appearances is an ultimate truth. These earlier teachers asserted that within the second typology, the first type includes masters such as Chandarashita and Kamalashila. There are also some Indian masters who use the terms illusion-like and thoroughly non-abiding to refer to different types of Madhyamikas. So it's just showing that there's a lot of different designations that teachers have given over the years for the various schools and what they assert. Broadly speaking, there were some Indian and Tibetan masters who claimed to be Madhyamikas who use this kind of terminology for dividing Madhyamakas. However, here I am to establish only the systems of the great Madhyamakas who are followers of the master Nagarjuna, who explain every subtle distinction. Moreover, the great translator Lodin Sherab makes an excellent point when he says that this presentation of two types of Madhyamakas, distinguished according to how they assert the ultimate, is simply something to impress fools. For those who make such a distinction seem to be claiming that for proponents of rationally established illusion, such as Chandarashita and Kamalashila, the mere object that is understood by an inferential reasoning consciousness is an ultimate truth, whereas both Chandarashita's ornament of the middle way and Kamalashila's illumination of the middle way say that the object understood by a reasoning consciousness as designated ultimate due to its being concordant with an ultimate truth. Just as a translator's note, now here you can see how important a lexicon is for us in the English tradition. So in the Tibetan tradition, you see they've memorized what these terms mean, defined them, and then put them into an outline. So their minds work in a way where they're reading this and it all just makes sense. It doesn't sound like jargon of just a bumble of words that don't really have any deep meaning. Every one of these words they could do what's called a word commentary on and explain that word down to its etymology, the reason that word was used there, and why other words weren't chosen at that point. So it really takes a complete scholar to be able to understand these words. The point I'm making is it really takes a complete scholar with a Geshe degree who's studied the five great tenets and then has it available in the language that they've studied those to understand this. Without the texts that support what this means in English, we really aren't going to be able to delve into what the full meaning of some of this is, just because we're limited with language and we're limited with masters in our English-speaking tradition that have achieved Geshe degrees. So we're just not there yet to be able to really just read this, where we have people in English that could read this fluently and know what every one of these terms means and what the implications of those terms are. And we can't even get translators to agree on terms to use. So you could read another book and they'll use totally different words, so it won't mean anything to us as English-speaking participants because they're just words. We need to know what those words mean. So that's why it's important, I feel, to pick a school and then kind of find the translators within that school and stick to it. Then it's less confusing because you'll know what their terms mean and what they're referring to every single time, and you won't be, well, does that mean that or does that mean this? So that's what I found to be helpful after studying Tibetan and having gone to the monastery and debated and seen how they literally have their own language for Buddhism. A Tibetan speaker couldn't just read a book on Buddhism if they hadn't studied Buddhism before and be able to read it and know what the vocabulary means at all. The words that were common to them mean totally different things in the context of Buddhism. So that's why it's important to have a thorough education in order to understand something like this. So if you're reading it just as I am and just being like, these are just words flowing at me, at this point, there's not a lot of meaning. I've been studying for almost 30 years, and that's what's happening to me right now. So I don't want anyone in the room to just, if it's your first time or something, we're in like the most difficult part of Buddhism right here. And these words really have a lot of meaning. They aren't just silly words, bombastic words for the sake of people to sound smart. They really do mean something, but without a full formal education, there's no way we could really understand them completely. And that's why so many people write books that are wrong, because it's so easy to misunderstand. Where was I before I as also the great other great Madhyamakas do not accept as an ultimate truth the mere object that is arrived at when reason eliminates elaborations with regard to an appearance. Therefore, this division is not a good approach. Okay, Dixon Rinpoche. Ngay de la song gang in me sarpa mambo yure de sheda kali kapudu de geshe den buchi shanga lobjong mashena de tsi kashe mashin tugumare Dixon de semte maje ngay la song gang in de geshe de kali kapudu. Okay, I was telling Rinpoche with the speech that I just gave. Okay, Dixon. Wina lopun dada.
Jason Danyana, Papa Yasiji, Gombatsu Nyana, Chu Chenbo, Lumen Databi, Lola Zunzeba, Hayu, Jason Dana, Danga, Di, Lama Koma, Chemanaja, Lotela Zu, Zeba Yino, Lumen Databi, Lumen Databi,
Oh, I didn't read it.
Sashi Diji, Nachi Nane, Sanji Janji, Pabi Gomba Yonso, Zuba, Tiwa Zine, Lo, Jirin Jojin, Lumen Leden Jejian, Lumen Leden Jejian, Leshi Mambushi, Lan La Chonzi, Mateba Nawa, Mateba Na Sun Shune, Pabi Gomba, Devan Zedo, Lumen Deniji, Deba Tenaji Nane, Papa Yase, Ji, Yen Cheba La, Papa Yase Ji, Yon Yin Cheba, Yon Cheba La, Chepido Shua, Tongyu Na, Dene, Lumen Sanji Jangda, Paden Da Tabi Jesu Dane, Pabi Gomba, Tenla Beba Yeno, Somba Toni Chi Tawa, Tenla Bebi Tsula Ni, Tegona Ni La Jubi Rimba Dan, Tegona Ni Tenla Beba Ngonzo, Tambu Ne, Dere Tuba Shayi, Tegona Ni Nyanga Lendeba, Kanyi, Tetubi, Tuba Shibi, Tegona Ni La Juba An, Chendrawa Shiki Gune, Juba Yin Nyana. Lodan Nagi, Shedan Nagi, Chedan Janazuba, Kona Mayimba Jindo, Tegona Nindo Nawa, the Tanji, Pachaji Banyawa, Shi, Dadan Dagarin Zimba, Naba Tanji to Sebe, the Tuba Shayi, Tegona Ni, Chuji, Pombo, Chuji Ku, Tegona Ni La, Chetan Jubi, Rimba Ne, Tambo, Ku Nyejun San Ne, Isunde, Tila, the Jiba Shigo, Tene, Teju Malu Na, Tene, Teju Malu Na, Madube, Teju Malu Na, Majuba Tone, Ku Tawa Kan Yin Yanda, Ti Tawa, Jiba Yin La, Jida An Mariba, Ku Tawa Nulu La, Naba Tin Taba Ne, June Debon Yu, Deba Jema Mayimba, Jiba Shigu. Tene, Jita Duba, Te Zon Yu, Jita Duba Te, Zon Yu, Da Meba Tubi, Shiro Jawa La, Ra Leba Tone, Da, Ga Guba Tonde, Da de Yuba La, Nyeji Dan, Mebi Duji Chi Long Dan, Riba La Tene, Neba Tumba Shi, Tanye Du, Tundu Nyena Mebi, To Medo, Tete Dadan Dagawa Rajin Chi, Chonzi Jang Meba, Mebi Tawa, Nyene Ti, Tun Gomba, Ti Tun Gomba Shibi, Chuji, Kotoba Yuwa Yino, Teyan, Tizele, kete nyomo tang nyomo ba na tang kete nyomo ba na tang le tang le na tang sheba tang rebu na de da tang ji te kona ni ma yin ji wen jang zhi zhong xie la su ba te kona ni ma yin ba jin to sheba na la te kona ni na ba na wa yin na yan der te kona ni ne kan ji yin la te kona ni la ju bi chu ji da yin xie na zu ba sha de ju ba sha de na da xi yi ma bo ma mi be na da xi la da du ze ba da gen ze ba na ba ta ji do be ban de ne de ko na je do te ko na ni la ju bi ju ba ne ñu mo je na ma le je zo la ta le jong le da ne di yu tu je ne ne je ba da no go ba je sha wa la su be o ma ju ba le ce wa sha wo she ba da ne ju ba te ko na ni la yo ba de je nyo mo ba da je ma le ba ra ge nyo de ba ne ko an de ji za wa jin yin je de nyo do ba she la de nyaba doba na koan jizu la tayu tawa jen do tong jin da ne jizu la tawa di mi ba yin be tongwa da ma yin ba tongwa da ma mi be jizu tawa pong jin te pong be nyama ba dan chuen ma le ba tong yu kan ji da do zin bi yu da je sha wan de ne je sha che sha wa te ko na ni nya do ba she zong zo
Sheda Selbeldu Rinpoche.
ya
Yeah, Sheda Selbeldu.
ya
Okay, Detsuko, Mambo. All right, I got a lot of reading. I don't have my good glasses either. Oh my gosh, yeah, I do. It's like a gift from the Buddha right now. I swear I looked under there like 6 times. All right. All right, let's do this. All right. As to the history of the commentary on Nagarjuna's thought, the master Yeshede explains that the masters, the noble Nagarjuna and his spiritual son Aryadeva, did not make clear in their Madhyamaka treatises whether external objects exist. Later, the master Bhavavega refuted the system of Vijnaptimatra and presented a system in which external objects exist conventionally. Then Master Chandrashita set forth a different Madhyamaka system that teaches based on Yogacara texts the external objects do not exist conventionally. It also teaches that the mind ultimately lacks intrinsic existence. Thus 2 forms of Madhyamaka arose. The former is called Sautrantika Madhyamaka and the latter Yogacara Madhyamaka. And just going back, full Sanskrit, if major heading is Madhyamaka. Divisions of Madhyamaka are Madhyamaka Prisangika, which is the highest school, and Madhyamaka Svatantrika, which is the lower of the Madhyamakas. It's Fa, S-V, Svatantrika. Then the Madhyamaka Svatantrika has 2 divisions. The Madhyamaka Svatantrika Sautrantika and the Madhyamaka Svatantrika Yogacara. So those are how you would, or the Sanskrit divisions. To just try and put it into some outline where we have all the words. So those are the major divisions. So Madhyamaka, 2 divisions. The second division has 2 divisions as well. It is evident that this sequence of events as explained by Yeshe De is correct. However, while the Master Chandrakirti does assert that external objects exist conventionally, he does not do so in a manner congruent with the claims of other tenet systems. Thus, it is unsuitable to call him a Sautrantika Madhyamaka. Similarly, the claim that he is in accord with the Vibhashikas is also very unreasonable. There are some commonalities as a translator's note, so look into that. There's a reason why that is presented. Scholars of the later dissemination of Buddhist teachings to the snowy land of Tibet use the terms prasangika and svatantrika for different types of madhyamakas. Since this agrees with Chandrakirti's clear words, you should not suppose that it is their own fabrication. Therefore, all madhyamakas are included within 2 types, those who do and those who do not assert external objects in conventional terms. If they are distinguished in terms of how they develop within their mind streams the view that is certain knowledge of emptiness, the ultimate, then again, they are all included within 2 types, prasangikas and svatantrikas. Those are the 2 main divisions. Following whom did those masters seek to understand that the noble Nagarjuna and his spiritual son Aryadeva intended? The great elder Atisha considered the system of the master Chandrakirti to be the main Madhyamaka system. Seeing this, the great gurus of the past who followed Atisha in giving personal instructions on these stages of the path also took Chandrakirti's system as the main system. The master Chandrakirti saw that among the commentaries on Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise on the middle way, it was the master Buddhapalita who had fully elucidated that what the noble Nagarjuna intended. So he commented on the noble Nagarjuna's intended meaning using his system as a basis. He also took many good explanations from the master Baba Vega while refuting those that seemed a little inaccurate. Inasmuch as the commentaries of master Buddhapalita and the glorious Chandrakirti are seen to be excellent explanations of the texts of the noble Nagarjuna and his spiritual son, Aryadeva, I will follow them in making determinations about what the noble Nagarjuna intended. So Lama Tsongkhapa uses Aryadeva Chandrakirti's Buddhapalita's system of explaining the Madhyamaka to Nagarjuna, obviously. The stages of entry into reality. How to determine the philosophical view of emptiness is 2 parts: stages of entry into reality, the actual determination of reality. The stages of entry into reality. Question: Nirvana is the reality one seeks to attain, but what is nirvana? If entry into reality means a method for attaining it, then how do you enter? The reality that you seek to attain, the embodiment of truth, is the total extinction of conceptions of both the self and that which belongs to the self, specifically by stopping all the various internal and external phenomena from appearing as though they were reality itself, which they are not, along with the latent predispositions for such false appearances. The stages by which you enter that reality are as follows. First, having contemplated in dismay the faults and disadvantages of cyclic existence, you should develop a wish to be done with it. Then, understanding that you will not overcome it unless you overcome its cause, you research its roots. Considering what might be the root of cause of cyclic existence, you will thereby become certain from the depths of your heart that the reifying view of the perishing aggregates or ignorance acts as the root of cyclic existence. You then need to develop a sincere wish to eliminate that. So eliminating the mistaken view that grasps at things as being truly established, grasps at the I as being inherently existent, as mine being inherently existent without any interdependent play, that they are reality itself without any that they are reality itself. Next, see that the overcoming the reifying view of the perishing aggregates depends upon developing the wisdom that knows that the self, as thus conceived, does not exist. You will then see that you have to refute that self. Be certain in that refutation, relying upon scriptures and lines of reasoning that contradict its existence and prove its non-existence. This is an indispensable technique for anyone who seeks liberation. After you have thus arrived at the philosophical view that discerns that the self and that which belongs to the self lack even a shred of intrinsic nature, you should accustom yourself to that. This will lead to the attainment of the embodiment of truth. Chandrakirti's clear words says, question, you say that all these afflictions, karma, bodies, agents, and effects are not reality. Still, though they are not reality, they appear to the childish in the guise of reality, like a phantom city and so forth. If this is so, then what is reality and how do you enter that reality? Reality is the total extinction of the conceptions of both the self, that which belongs to the self in regard to the internal and external, this being a result of the non-apprehension of internal and external things. As for the entry into reality, look into the commentary on the middle way, the Madhyamika Avatara, which says, in their minds, yogis perceive that all afflictions and all faults arise from the reifying view of the perishing aggregates, and knowing that the self is the object of that view, they refute that self. Chandrakirti's clear words also says, yogis who wish to enter reality and who wish to eliminate all afflictions and faults examine the question, what does this cyclic existence has as its root? When they thoroughly investigate this, they see that cyclic existence has at its root the reifying view of the perishing aggregates, and they see that the self is the object observed by the reifying view of the perishing aggregates. They see that not observing the self leads to eliminating the reifying view of the perishing aggregates, and that through eliminating that, all afflictions and faults are overcome. Hence, at the very beginning, they examine only the self, asking, what is the self that is the object of the conception of self? One second. Rinpoche, Chiran de Chuchen Soso? Chiran Kaba Levson? That Levson? Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's it. Dixon. That's more than a true.
Kazak damet, Chuchi damet.
Okay, the Yabu.
Kazak damet, and Anangazo, Nasa Juro. Nade, Taju Tsubala doing Nasa Duramado. Tsubala Matubi, and Nasa Duramaro. Nevertheless, Kazak damet. Then I just choose in that Galo, Taju Tsubala doing you are Tsubala Matubi, and other nevertheless, Chuchi damet. What the little Gogures.
So when we divide selflessness, we can divide it into two categories, selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. So what does selflessness of person mean? So here it's referring to the I. Here, the mistaken view is that the I is truly existent. The I has some inherent self. The correct view is that the I is merely a designation that is placed on an appropriate basis of designation. So a collection that comes together then serves as an appropriate basis of designation for the name I. But there's no I that's separate from this collection of aggregates and so forth that come together that and then are named. So there's not this external, inherently existent I that is there. So that is the first division of selflessness of person. Selflessness of phenomena refers to the selflessness of anything that is not person. So any phenomena that is not person is not truly established because it's merely a collection of things that come together to serve as a basis of designated and then basis of designation to be named as this or that. But there is no this or that that's separate from that collection coming together that serves as a basis of designation. So that collection of parts then is named as this or that, and that this or that phenomena are not truly established because they come into being in that fashion. So two divisions of selflessness of person, selflessness of phenomena. That's more true than lenja. Chiran san lugar yube.
간다 제가 야
That's more decent.
최전 소소 아빠도 매봐라 라진 고비 레바토마 송장 내주 주비 세네 도드네 다가와 라진 매봐 텔라 포네 공반데네 다시 라지 주제비 다시 라지 주제비
인바.
주제비 인바 그러면 상지 장지 손발라 때네 그러면 더 잡에 제바인데 오마 유바 다음에 나장 라지 주제비 니 제바인노 개대는데네 대전도 권한이라 주비 대전비 더 권한이라 주비 최대 많이 나 대나 나나 작은 데버 세바다네 토자이 더 권한이도 메리지 나도 나가와 라진지 매바텔라 매바 파바 장랑 최제다메라 텔라보바 예베 태권하니라 주비 라도 메리조 냐나 죄메데 다도 다근데바 나바단제도 세발라 니레 뉴몬 할 메지 수지 때 bomba네 김에라 외매장 시다나기 주다지 주비 참아다지 때라 마미 때 마미베 bomba네 주주 꾸임베 임베 시다 달라라지 매버 두바네 디라도 주비 pombo나라 라지 주반지 두번주 시대 신다지나 콜로라 라나지 세바지노 대야 제세도 때는 답이 마리비 신지로다 신지로다 덴바남 신지로다 덴바남 다도 마버지마 이제 저봐 봉가보다 강기 녀발레바니도 상원데제 봉비 천이 여바시 시강 근데 봉비 천이 매바시지 타바더바나지 나버져바 이노 나바단제도 제바네 타반더바 나지 마이바 디셔 달라 다니 여바 마이나 다게 여바 갈라주로 다마이비 시르다도 다비다
Dama mi pichеш.
제 다가와 신도 제 매바 먼저로 제달 신다 치나 뒤열라나자 치바 마이비
야부두.
치바 마미바 대신도 nenjuba dagi kangi tse dameba tuba teniji tse pombo mabu dagawa rajimeba tuba njoro she dala rajimeba yinba tubi tse dagawa pombo dade rajimeba tuba songo juba lejang
Didi ça.
Sola sobe rangi ngon, 뭐 마음에 신지로도 주비셔 가자기 다만 또 봐야 먼저대 다도 답이시 부모 마음에 부모라 매비셔로 그래도 지시 부모인데요 버스들랑 안지
Okay.
시종바 라지 매바 마도나 라지는 다음에 마도베 라지는 다음에 마도바 손베시로 그때 가자라 라지 매바 도비 로데 되니지 부모나 라지 매바 도바이나 다음에 니 도비 로지 지도 유전매도 최다 가자 다수로 이메 대지라지지 매바 도비시를 로니정 수수와 이데 오나 본바다 가와 마다바 도비 로이진노 가자다 라지 매바 도비 로데니지 본보 라지 매바 아도나 가자게 다음에 도비세 포버라지 매바 도바 나와 저다 주냐나 저와 담비 저와 담부 메레베 저와 오마시바샤오 가자라지 매바 도비 로데니지 포버라지 매바 매도냐도 맨지장 로데젠라 되면도 포버라지 매바 내베 내신데 네베 포버라지 매바 준도 줘봐 네바 이노 디저 가자라지 매바 도비스 포버라지 매바 도바 송소 대야 저다보냐 저다부 대야 베다발달레 데다 다제샤와 카이바데 다게 제샤와 셰샤시나 다게데 메데 때문에 디노 하도 셰샤와 저다 태반주로 셰송바터
The Yabudu.
셰바샤데
The Dixon.
야
The NGK lo.
Yeah.
The Chishina de Ka, then Trio Dan Lenja.
Okay.
Gangisina Le Labudu. Ngatsu the Gutso de Le Labo. The Buddha Palita Lung. Then Yanjir Ngatsu Gutso Gore.
야
Okay. All right, here, where did I leave off? Page?
120.
Next, see that overcoming, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I am. I just don't want to reread something and no one say anything. Next, see that overcoming the reifying view of the perishing aggregates depends upon developing the wisdom that knows that the self, as thus conceived, does not exist. You will then see that you have to refute that self. Be certain in that refutation, relying upon scripture and the lines of reasoning that contradict its essence and prove its non-existence. This is indispensable technique for anyone who seeks liberation. After you have thus arrived at the philosophical view that discerns the self and that which belongs to the self, lack even a shred of intrinsic nature, you should accustom yourself to that. This will lead to the attainment of the embodiment of truth. Chandrakirti's clear words says, question, you say that all of these afflictions, karma, bodies, agents, and effects are not reality. Still, though they are not reality, they appear to the childish in the guise of reality, like a phantom city and so forth. If this is so, then what is reality and how do you enter that reality? Reply, reality is the total extinction of the conceptions of both the self and that which belongs to the self in regard to the internal and external, this being a result of the non-apprehension of internal and external external things. As for entry into reality, look in the commentary on the middle way, Madhyamika, I read this, which says, in their minds, yogis perceive that all afflictions and all faults arise from the reifying view of the perishing aggregates, and knowing that the self is the object of the view, they refute the self. Chandrakirti's clear words also says, yogis who wish to enter reality and who wish to eliminate all afflictions and faults examine that question. What does this cyclic existence have at its root? When they thoroughly investigate this, they see that cyclic existence has at its root the reifying view of the perishing aggregates, and they see that the self is the object observed by the reifying view of the perishing aggregates. They see that not observing the self leads to the eliminating the reifying view of the perishing aggregates, and that through eliminating that, all afflictions and faults are overcome. Hence, at the very beginning, they examine only the self, asking, what is the self? What is the object of the conception of self? Here, where Scripture sets forth many arguments refuting the intrinsic existence of a limitless number of individual things. However, when yogis initially engage in practice, they meditate in an abridged way, determining that both the self and that which belongs to the self lack intrinsic nature. The master Buddhapalita says that this is the meaning of the 18th chapter of Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise. The master Chandrakirti bases his own commentary on this statement by Buddhapalita. Also, the teachings on the selflessness of persons in Chandrakirti's commentary on the middle way are just extended explanations of the 18th chapter of Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise. That's the Mulya Madhyamika Karika, by the way. Quam, are you not teaching how to enter the reality of the Mahayana? In that case, the reality that one seeks to attain cannot be the mere extinction of conceptions of both self and that which belongs to it. Also, since a simple determination that both the self and that which belongs to it lack intrinsic nature does not entail a determination that lacks it is distinct from persons, lacks self, it is wrong to posit it as the path for entering into reality. Reply, there is no problem here. For there are two types of total extinction of the conceptions of both the self and that which belongs to it. Even Hinayanists may have the first type, the utter elimination of the afflictions, so that those afflictions will never occur. However, the second is a Buddha's embodiment of truth. It is the elimination through utter non-apprehension of all signs which are elaborations of external and internal phenomena. Also, when you know that the self does not exist intrinsically, you also overcome the conception that the aggregates which are its components exist intrinsically. Just as when a chariot is burned, the wheels and such that are its parts are also burned. Chandrakirti's clear word says, the self is imputed dependently. It is what those who have the error of ignorance cling to fiercely. It is regarded as the appropriator of the five aggregates. Those who seek liberation analyze whether this self has the character of the aggregates. When those who seek liberation have analyzed it in every way, they do not observe a self, and thus Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise says, if the self does not exist, how could that which belongs to the self exist? Because they do not observe the self, they also do not at all observe the aggregate which belongs to the self, the basis on which the self is designated. When a chariot is burned, its parts also are burned and thus not observed. Similarly, when yogis know that the self does not exist, they will know that what belongs to the self, the things that are the aggregates, are also devoid of self. Thus Chandrakirti says that when you know that the self lacks intrinsic nature, you also know that the self's aggregates lack self. That is to say, they lack intrinsic nature. Also, Chandrakirti's explanation of the Middle Way commentary says, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas following Hinayana tenets are inaccurate because they apprehend an essence in things such as form. Therefore, they do not know even the selflessness of persons. This is because they hold conceptions of the aggregates, the basis that is designated as the self. Nagarjuna's precious garland, the Ratnavali, says, as long as you conceive of the aggregates, you will conceive of them as I. Thus, he says, if you do not know that the aggregates lack intrinsic nature, you do not know the selflessness of the person. Quam, if the same awareness that knows the person lacks intrinsic existence also knows that the aggregates lack intrinsic existence, then there is a fallacy. The two awarenesses that know the two types of selflessness would be the same. However, since objects and persons are distinct, the awareness that know that they lack intrinsic existence are also distinct, as in the case of the awareness that know the impermanence of a pot and that of a pillar. If the awareness that knows that the person lacks intrinsic existence does not know that the aggregates lack intrinsic existence, how can Chandrakirti claim that one will know the aggregates lack intrinsic intrinsic existence when one knows the selflessness of the person? Reply, since we do not assert this, I will answer your final question. The awareness that knows that the person lacks intrinsic existence does not think. The aggregates do not intrinsically exist. However, without relying on anything else, the very awareness can induce certain knowledge that the aggregates lack intrinsic existence, thereby eliminating the reification of intrinsic existence that has been superimposed upon the aggregates. Therefore, Chandrakirti says that you know that the person lacks intrinsic existence. You also know that the aggregates lack intrinsic existence. Also, Buddha Palita's commentary on the fundamental treatise says, what the so-called self possesses is called that which belongs to the self. That self does not exist. If it doesn't exist, how can it be right to speak of that which belongs to it? All right, so we will end there. Whew! That's a mouthful and an earful. And I think that's why I kept wondering where we went, because I was reading the English with Rinpoche, so I felt like I was rereading certain stuff. So if I did, I did. But we can all use it, I'm sure. Not going to hurt. Read it 500 times and I don't get it still. Questions, and please, what I already said about the lexicon and the terms, just within the scope of what I'll be able to do today, sitting here live without resources. Like the illusionist, I've never even heard of that. I wouldn't even know. We got questions. It can be about anything, about Buddhism, anything you want to.
All right. Then it's the Sravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, they can have the Prasangika view. This last statement said it didn't.
The Rinpoche. So the hearers and solitary realizers, can they have the Prasangika view? Then Yentu Dang Rang Gel. Umi Tenjor Dawa Yuken Yurube. Yes. Yes. They're definitely holders. And they can't become arhats unless they hold that view.
But according to that last statement.
No, I'm saying that unless a hearer and a solitary realizer hold the view of the Madhyamika Prasangika, they can't become even arhats within their school, according to Madhyamika Prasangika. It says everybody eventually realizes that view to become an arhat of any form.
So I just wonder if we could just go back to last week's question again, a little bit about this concept of having to be taught selflessness in order to understand that reality.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this in terms of kind of the conventional and ultimate truths, and maybe you can help to explain, or Rinpoche can explain kind of where my flaw in my reasoning is. That when we think about things like the statement about mango tree, mango tree, mango tree, is that kind of expressed as an ultimate truth? Because in a conventional reality, we know that evolution would posit that's not the case, that mango tree came from something else. There is no mango tree, mango tree, mango tree. And so I would think likewise there would be no Buddha, Buddha, Buddha in that sense, that everything had to have evolved from other things. And so how could there be an original, unless you're positing an intrinsic Buddha nature, which we're not, positing anything intrinsically, it had to have evolved from other things. And that at some point, someone came to that realization where they could articulate that selflessness. Mm-hmm. So I was just wondering, where Rinpoche kind of would say the flaw in that. Is that a misconception of mine on conventional versus ultimate truth? Or, how does that meld over with science and what we know about the evolution?
That's it. I'm going to ask Rinpoche, but just remember that his scientific, quote-unquote, background is this. So this is their truth. We have evolution. Some people believe it, some people don't. You believe it. That's your truth. But you're asking two different, you know what I mean? You're taking a view they're just different views. That's not saying that science isn't right, and not saying that I'm just saying they're two different views. Because Buddhism wouldn't say that it's possible that mango tree came from something that wasn't mango tree. Buddhism would say that from Jupiter, some seeds from a mango tree blew here.
Right, but so...
You know what I mean? And
so
you would have beginningless
right. So part
mango
of that
tree.
question is, even the Dalai Lama now is taking certain things out of the teachings and saying we know them now to not be true based on what we know in science, and really kind of pushing that agenda because you keep reading on further in this section, it's all about this logic and reasoning and understanding conventional and ultimate reality, and they really push that as we keep reading further in this section, that's the basis for reality for an individual liberation, right, is to really understand this through our own logic and reasoning, not just because someone's, we
Right,
have to
no.
understand it ourselves.
I don't think it's logical to think it could come from something other than. I think that's where illogical starts, to think that consciousness could come from something other than consciousness. I think that's illogical. But hold on. Rinpoche, the Tsen Ripa, the Ngatsu, the Tem Mambo, the Mango Shin, Giju, the Ngami Mango Shin. The Tsen Ripa, Kelen, the Jugenda Mango Shin Gutsosum. Jugenda. The Tsenripa Kelen, the Tumoa Gugumare. The Tsenripa. Tsenripa, the mango tree, ngama, Ju Kakare Zusum. Jugenda. Mango Sopun Yomare. The Sopungi Ju, the Mambo Yure. Yine the mango yomare. The sopun the Jew mambo yure. Yine the sopun dakpar mango sopun yomare. Ngama duk dangdrar. Then the dakpar the tsenripa kelen the ngama the ngatsu biu. Then biu ngama ngatsu nya. Then ngama the ngatsu the. Then konsu the tumo keleng mare. Kakare. The Kelen Kak Senripa Dang Nampa Kelen Kakare. The Nampa Kelen the Mango Shin Ju Ngami Mango Shin Ngama Tumoa the Tumo Maimba the Tambo Yomare the Senripa Kelen the Yomare the Ju Kakare the Lepsong. Nampa Kelen Chikshena the Jikten the Chikshena the Tanda Ngatsu the Zambaling Jenda Chikshena Sopun Long Kerson Ngatsu Nampa the Mango Shin Sopun Kabane the Nampa Kelen Chikshena the Zambaling the Sacha Jenda the Long Kerson the Zu Yere Then Chiron Salogar you be. So what does so we're going to look at a specific example. What does the scientist say causes the mango tree that isn't the mango tree's seed?
So it would say that kind of like dependent origination, that you could go back in time, that there were single-celled organisms on this planet that evolved into multicellular organisms, that it kept going through this kind of process of diversification based on the cause and conditions, that wouldn't be the words they would use, but on the environmental conditions that favored certain traits to be perpetuated. And so as that evolved...
From one single cell?
Well, from one type of organism initially, basically, that there were single-celled organisms on this planet that were not mango tree essence, that as the environment changed, they adapted and grew into different species that were specifically suited for that environment. And that environment continues to change, so they continue to adapt and evolve.
Can I say that too? Maybe the answer could be like sunlight, soil, water, so that's separate from the mango tree, but it's one and the same because it needs that to be it. So that kind of idea of like there is no self. The mango tree is the collective word, but it has all these parts wrapped up in it. So the part is the same as the whole, is how I'm gathering it.
Rinpoche is positing that mango trees' causes were always mango trees' causes, and you're saying that's not the case. And I'm telling him that, and he thinks it's preposterous, and you think that there's one single cell that turned into everything we see. You know what I mean? And he thinks that's preposterous. You think this is preposterous. So I'm not... But you know what I'm trying to say. When I say to him that everything you see here came from this one thing, unless that one thing had everything we see here within it, maybe Buddhism could be okay with that. If that one thing somehow had everything in it, but it wouldn't be able to create consciousness. It wouldn't. Buddhism states that I'm here, and in a previous life I was in hell. In a previous life I was a hungry ghost. In a previous life to that I was an ant. In a previous life to that I was all of these different things. So Buddhism would never say that I evolved into a human from a monkey, from a single cell through the ocean, and I crawled out. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, that's
but
what I was wondering about.
Buddhism
Was it a-
wouldn't say that's accurate. Buddhism would say that that's not accurate.
That's what I was asking. Was it a question of, conventional versus ultimate truth? Like on a conventional level, we know that evolution occurred, that people did evolve from this, that there was no genetic map, blueprint of a human 4 billion years ago when the Earth was just coming into existence.
But could there have
is
been
that-
humans on other planets?
No, there was no other planets. 8.8 billion
What do
years
you
ago,
mean?
there were no other
Okay.
planets. It was a singularity. So if you're talking about from that singularity, is that the essence that you're saying has continued throughout all of this time? Like you could posit that it's just energy or whatever was that singularity?
Buddhism doesn't have a first Big Bang like that. Dalai
Well-
Lama was asked about that very thing, that first explosion, and he said Buddhism would be okay with multiple explosions that took place beginninglessly, but Buddhism wouldn't be okay with a first explosion that created all of this. Buddhism would have to say that there was a previous explosion and a previous explosion, and then maybe that this race got wiped out and everybody became Martians.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, all the Martians, like somehow, two came here, and it was Adam and Eve, maybe Martians. Like,
But-
you know what I mean?
But
There's
science
a lot
wouldn't say that that's necessarily wrong, though, because they don't know what was before the Big Bang. And Hawking's other people would say that was also a transitional phase. That there's,
because
multiverses.
something can't come from nothing.
Correct. Yeah.
And Buddhism says that causes and results are concordant. You have to have milk and chocolate to get chocolate milk. You
Yep.
can't put milk and water and get chocolate milk. You can't put a human and a dog together and have a human baby. You have to put a human and a
Yep.
human together. So there are certain things that cause specific things, and they won't cause other things ever. So Buddhism just takes it with that and runs with it and
Right.
says that based on logic, you have to only assert which makes sense. And as soon as you get into something that's not tenable, then you have to stop. Even though you have theory, you have all these other things, you have to stop if it's not tenable logically. Because you can't say that this moment came from a previous moment. This consciousness. Where does this consciousness that's happening come from? Came from a previous moment, which came from a previous moment. And I'm going to get to the point where I'm in a womb, and there's got to be a consciousness that made this consciousness. If it's an external consciousness, then I know everything it knows. And then if it's my consciousness, it's got to be a continuous stream. So Buddhism says it's a continuous stream because it's illogical to say that something outside of us gave us consciousness, because we would know everything that thing knows, and everyone would all know the same thing. Because we would have its consciousness, because consciousness causes consciousness. So either we were given consciousness from someone, or it's a continuous stream of ours.
But so I guess that's still a little separate from the physicality of that previous statement, like the mango tree, and Buddha, that those things, like the mango tree did evolve from something else. There, like at least in theory, there was no seed that was before the Big Bang that kind of came through
Buddhism
the Big,
says there was, though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that Buddhism says that before you have all of this time stuff and like writing it down and what our instruments can
Yeah.
figure out, Buddhism says this was all going on before.
Yeah, but then
and
you're
that
almost
it was
talking
going
like
on in other places.
I know, but then you're
and
almost talking like
maybe
a circle for the same thing to have occurred again. Like you're not saying, eternity is a circular pattern where we're going through the same process over and over, the exact same one where a mango tree is going to come back
Cyclic
as a mango.
existence.
Yeah, cyclic doesn't
That's
mean
what it's called.
but that doesn't mean that it's kind of you're almost saying predetermined then, that you know that it's going to cycle the same way, which isn't what they're positing.
It is. It's
No,
going to
not the
cycle
same.
however your karmic seeds present the experience at that time.
No, unless you're saying it's an intrinsic cycle, which it's not. It's you can't. That's an intrinsic existence. Then it has to evolve as it evolves each time uniquely. It's just is how the causes and conditions led up to that next moment, right?
But it's not unique. It's unique because its causes and conditions were different at that moment that put it together, but it's still just dependently originated based on those whatever was there for it to experience it.
I guess I just don't see how a mango tree could go on in infinity backwards without having intrinsic existence. Because if it's evolving, which is dependent origination, I don't see how it could have intrinsic existence going back, forever without having dependently originated. Like that's the, again, that gets back to the conventional ultimate.
But that's the line
true thing.
between true existence and emptiness. That's the difficult part, is to find that place where it exists, but it dependently originates and it doesn't truly exist. That's that line where you're always trying to jump back and forth because you go too far and then it doesn't exist, or you don't take enough and you have some kind of intrinsic existence. So going back to what science believes, I don't think it's like not concordant per se, but I think that it could be explained differently. And maybe I think that Buddhism could, if you took Buddhism's theory, which I'm not a scholar of, so I'm not going to even pretend, especially of the Abhidharma and which parts of it are funny and which parts aren't. But I think there is definitely a way to marry the two and make the two kind of explain each other without there being a major discrepancy. But it really requires having an intense understanding of what Buddhism presents and then what the science presents, and then figuring out how you could bridge that. Because the Rinpoche, the science truchar yure, and truchar the mambo hakogdu, and konso the konso truchar the ngama the fossil yure, fossil puik the ngama the yuna the rock the do the sir, then the yure, the low mambo the yure, then the ngama sopun, sen ripa yure, like low boom ngama sopun pakcha sopun pakcha danjar the do the yure, the boom konso the boom ju hakogdu lo gatsi yure hakogdu, then konso kelen dan nampa kelen sheda kakare, the konso tsampa the judan depo tumor sheda gugumare data gugumare gangin sena the mango sopun tambo yutugare gangin sena the dendel the mambo nyamdu dene the sopun mingda yene the ngama sopun yomare sapun.
사람은 내부 간에서 용어랬어.
Yeah, he just said, if you don't have a seed, how do you have the result of a tree? In Buddhism, it's just so set in stone that cause and result are concordant. And if it just sets off like a red flame when you say something that doesn't make sense logically within that framework of cause and effect, because it has to say that, and then there's something outside of that at work. I'd have to understand it myself, I think, completely. I'd like to understand evolution, like not in the way that we studied in school, like the deeper meaning of it and understanding of how it all worked.
내가 사람 매봐 내가 용어를 봤어.
Yong, the nupa, the du. Mekon mango sopun nupi nangla yire nupa. Dene the nupa yire judan chen lena dene sopun zusum. The nupa. The jakar dawa dandar the sopun nangla the depo kanga yire
내가 사람 매는 내가 용어를 봤어.
yongdu.
간에서 용어.
The konsu segadu mango sopun the ngama mango sopun yo mare. Dene judan chen mango sopun zusun. Dene mango tree leson. Yene ngama mango tree yo mare. Judan chen nupa mango tree nupa nangla nupa kuna. Dene the nupa sopun zusun sapun zusun. 누빠.
사본
Sopun
그거도
sapun gu yene ngama sapun yo mare sapun gi nupa. The dandrar the nangla sapun nupa. Judan chen dene de sapun zusun. Dene sapun mango tree zusun.
사본 그거도 왔나?
Sapun gu yene sapun ngama sapun ngami sapun yo mare. The ngama sapun judan chen yere. Dene de du nangla sapun nupa. Dene the judan chen leson. Dene de nupa sapun zuson. Dene
언제 사본 그거도 왔어.
I'm explaining to him over and over how these causes and conditions. I'm saying that there wasn't always a seed for a mango tree. That there was causes and conditions that made this seed that then made the mango tree. And before there was something that possessed a power to make a seed or an ability, some kind of ability. I said it in Nupa. Nupa is an ability or power. There's some substance that possessed an ability to produce a seed that then produces a mango tree. And he keeps saying, see, you need a seed.
But it happens over thousands of years, and because of mutation and natural variation, the change is so subtle you wouldn't see it. Like a human wouldn't notice that trees are changing. I mean, the seeds change so slowly.
Absolutely.
over time. So maybe that, I think there's some kind of common ground, between Buddhism and science there. Anyway.
Or that we are changing crops
Buddhism has
to drier climates, so we're modifying them, and they also modify them on their own and evolve into different types of crops that weren't the same seed from 10,000 years ago.
there's no Buddhism doesn't have a problem with that. It, you know what I mean? They can modify through dependent origination. There's there's no problem with that in the sense of having it have different characteristics. I heard a debate about this, but it still has within it what it started as. Like if you take a mango and then you mix it with a mango that phenos out differently, right? That has a different essence that's sweeter, and then you create a mango that, yeah, it's true.
Just, on different levels, but it's the same concept.
But it's still cause and effect. As long as it doesn't mess with cause and effect, Buddhism is okay with it.
As I said, they jive
Yeah.
perfectly. It's that
Yeah.
it doesn't jive when you have again, those specific words on that page were very kind of stark. Like it's only this way. It had to be Buddha. Like the teaching had to be this way, which seems discordant with in the same way that the mango seems discordant. Maybe there's an explanation that Rinpoche can give that shows that that's more about an ultimate truth than a conventional truth. And that's why I didn't know if that's where the disconnect was.
No, that's just the
But it's-
truth.
yeah,
That's the
and it was
truth to
just-
him.
Yeah. It's just- yeah.
No, I was for a second, but the thing I was going to say was answered. All right, fine.
And then maybe like one more.
No, this is just on the same vein. Trying to find a way to focus the question. Now, the example that popped into my head is the example of a mule, where the only way to get a mule is through the causes and conditions of, I think it's a mule, and you mix a horse and a donkey together. The mule is a one-shot deal. It can't reproduce.
Right.
So, I mean, that's definitely not mango tree. That's horse, donkey, mule.
Yeah.
So I guess
Still cause and effect.
Yeah,
And the
that's-
effect is a mule that can't reproduce.
The second you said that
You know
it
what I
does-
mean?
the
It's a
second you-
sterile thing. So you need these two to get one, and you can't get one from the next one because it's sterile.
The second you said that if it doesn't mess with cause and effect, they don't have any problem with it, I was ready to withdraw the question. But I got handed the mic anyway.
You just have to be careful that you don't. The reason that Buddhism is so firm on this is that the creator God notion, that as soon as you say that, cause something can come from something different, then it's magic, and then a creator God theory makes some kind of sense. Whereas logically, a creator God, we would have to know everything that creator God knows. We would have to be perfect, or that creator God would have to be imperfect, because it would be giving us what they have, So that's all. But this isn't something that they just don't debate. They debate this for 20 years, around in circles, for 8 hours a day in the Chura, in the Tibetan Buddhist monastery. This is one of the main debates. It's from the Pramanavartika Karika. It's so foundational to what so many parts of Buddhism require, this cause and effect and causal concordance, and causally concordant with its result. This idea is such a big thing for debate. They take once a year and just debate the Pramanavartika Karika, and that's one of the main parts of it, because then that's how you get beginningless rebirth, that's how you get previous lives. This cause and effect is how you prove that this isn't the only life in Buddhism, is that this came from a previous moment, from a previous moment, from a previous moment, and you can't logically establish something that was non-consciousness that suddenly intervened and started us up. We had to have already been started up or have some flow going. Anyway, but it's very interesting, I'm not saying this is right, you are wrong. I'm just saying that this is what this says,
So in response to that, as I listen, I'm wondering.
Can we just direct questions at Rinpoche too, just because he's
Sure.
like, we forget sometimes that Rinpoche's.
This
You
is
know, yeah.
definitely directed
Cool.
to
I
him.
just-
I'm wondering, because in my experience, science has very strict and firm boundaries and lines where this is this and that's it. And Buddhism stretches those boundaries. And if the complication is in the words that you're reading and what those words mean, words, as we know, are just sounds. And a lot of times those sounds don't capture the complete concept. It's like an incomplete prison for the concept. And that seems to be why there's a lot of trouble in some of the translations, because the Buddhism and the Sanskrit and the Tibetan has very profound meaning, where a lot of the English words are just meaningless sounds sometimes because they have so many meanings. So I'm wondering if maybe that difference that you're talking about would come more from encountering the sound of a meaning rather than applying a meaning if that makes any sense.
I think, though, that there's specific meanings that that seem contradictory. But Rinpoche, inji ke dan the puke, the kejor, the sarpa, the lo ngapju, lo mambo yo mare, then ngatsu ngampa sarpa. The ne ngatsu becha, sansan kali kapudu, gangen sene ngatsu tsik, dunda. The data donda yomare. The puik tsik donda. Injike tsik donda. Sansan chipa yomare. Yene the injike tsik chipa mindu. Ngatsu mindu. Den sunsang. Ngatsu tsik jenda pechiche. Then ngatsu the becha trugudu sansan. Kali kapudu. Then the konde lapso. Then sansan kali kapudu gangen sena the ngatsu tsik the dunda sansan hakogamare the cheranso nampa the lo chun chun tsik the seni sonchat seni the kadoki seni dunta ruat then the kanga seni gutsogdu ngatsu seni yomare Inji ke ngatsu de lobjung seni ewa den soncha den seni dan soncha ngatsu de lobjung shegomare de tsik donda sansang donda je, donda nga yure. Dene de data kali kapudu sansa. Dene de chiran sanlo gari ube. Ngatsu de ke sarpazu? Tsik sarpa? Indicate tsik sarpazu? The garre. Gangen sene de kaju tsik jenda pecha chegudu. And the galupa kashe de tsik pecha chegudu. Robert Thurman, tsik jenda pecha chegudu. Jeffrey Hopkins, tsik jenda pecha chegudu. Garfield, tsik jenda pecha chegudu. I was saying all these translators and scholars use different words for the same Tibetan word. So when we're reading the text, we don't know that this word means that word in Tibetan. And I was saying to that Rinpoche that in the monastery, they study from when they're 8 or 9. They define every word that they use in the book, from color to on up, color, form, shape, all the way. They define, literally, they have thousands of definitions of words by the time they get their degree. So when they read a word, they know that word means this, period. So going to what you're saying, we don't have that. So we do run into trouble because we don't have that specificity within words. But there are things that are contradictory that, like science has great machines. They don't see any Mount Meru. So the Dalai Lama said we have to be ready to say that the Mount Meru might have just been a concept or something that was talked about and that, was given to people who weren't really educated at the time and didn't have machines as, this is how the universe is, in order to simplify it. Then others will say that it's exactly right and that we don't have the karma to see it and that the Dalai Lama says that so he doesn't look like a maniac. So, you can pick whichever it is, but some scholars will say no, the Abhidharma is not wrong. There are ultimate many dimensions and other universes and other planets with people living on those planets that we can't see, that science couldn't see with a machine. There's pure lands existing where there are Buddhas, according to our text. There's a whole body of a Buddha existing somewhere, teaching Arya Bodhisattvas in a place that's pure that science can't see. So I always wonder why it's like, oh yeah, well, the Mount Meru isn't that, but we believe there's a dimension where Buddhas are teaching that we can't see. You know what I mean? So I think that we take a lot for granted based on our senses, and our senses are limited by our karma. And that right now, Buddhism states that Buddhas, these are all alive. All of these Buddhas are Buddhas. And we don't have the karma to know that they're here with us.
Can I just ask one more
Sure.
simple question with
Yeah.
regards to that? Can it be appropriate to say that science learns from an external analysis of what's being observed, and maybe Buddhism takes what's observed and internalizes it?
Como dice du chi shena tsen ripa nang sheda hako shen sheda hako gudu nampi chu nang sheda hako gudu nang la tsen ripa de rang shen hako gudu kon sampa de nampi chu nang la nicha the nampi chu the salo mambo dandu sen ripa de kelen dene nampi chu true mambo jagado. So I was saying that science posits something, but then Buddhism would then have a lot of questions about why that was and how that was. That's all. All right, I think Rinpoche, okay, maybe one more. Rinpoche is feeling, I think, a little tired. Yes.
So this is all very new to me.
Sure.
And the idea that we don't exist and the things around us don't exist except in an interdependent way.
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
We definitely all exist. That's the pitfall
Okay.
of studying this only a little, because it's very easy to come to the conclusion that we don't exist. what this is saying is that we don't exist the way we think we exist. That we think that we have this concrete, okay, I'm Jeff, okay? I believe that I'm Jeff. I'll always be Jeff. I don't see myself ending. I don't see there being any way I could be anything but Jeff. I have a very solid feeling of this Jeff.
Right.
But I don't think about the fact that Jeff didn't exist a minute before I was born, unless my parents pre-named me. I have no idea. Then this thing came out with parts that you're supposed to name, and then a name Jeff was put on it. So then I identified as years went on with this, and now I feel like there's some concrete Jeff, and I react to my environment as such, as there's this concrete thing that is and always will be. But it's merely Buddhism saying that we need to understand that it's just a collection of things that came together that made us exist. We do exist, but we exist in a way that came together from our parents, for instance. Our parents decided to have a baby, then they had a baby, and then the baby came out, and then it was named. It was a boy, so Jeff was an appropriate name. They didn't name me Lisa. So there was all this interdependence that came together for the Jeff that's sitting here right now. And I cling to it as if it's something singular that isn't based on all of these dependent things. So then when we take it to, the reason that's important is that when we take it to a car, for instance, we say, that's a really nice car. But it's when we understand it's just a collection of parts that are named as nice car, and that somebody who has much more money than us will think it's a junky car and will think that, and then name it as a junk car. That car doesn't have any inherent existence of this or that. I don't have any inherent existence of Jeff. It's just a bunch of stuff that came together and that are suitable to be called as Jeff and that I identify as Jeff. But I'm here. We're all here for 100%.
And the only thing that I was wondering from Ramesh is when you get to a place where you understand the difference, is that kind of the process of enlightenment that you're talking about, and kind of does that toggle back and forth? Do you, once you get enlightenment, do you always experience it, or do you kind of forget and then have to toggle back to it?
Kon sheda sarpa. Dene the tomba ni sheda kali kabudu. Dene the kon the satambo. Then kon triwa the tambo triwa the tomba ni ngatsu mepa. Then nge lenja mepa yomare ngatsu yure the dendel dupa mingda nge de laso. Dene kon triwa jaso ngatsu the ngatsu demba madrupa shina de shanchup ngatsu de shina de shanchu yin de tonlan de detsgeche kong sarpa
shebala ten ne shangchul dores
less so shebala
de
den.
shangchu yin la jue ma.
Okay, so independence upon realizing that truth, one can become enlightened, but that realization is not enlightenment. Moi, de shanchu yomare garishene gangsena tonlan. The toni dopi shira yana de shanchu.
De shangchu yin la jue ma.
Shanchu garishene mayan.
Ne de shangchu la je shangchu. De shangchu so ma de ma.
Less so.
Ne tu da jong ba da, ra je da jong ba da. Sa je ge tu ju le ma de shangchu yo ma des.
So we don't say that the realization of the nature of reality or the realization of emptiness is enlightenment. It's not, when we look at enlightenment, we divide it into three categories. There's Hinayana enlightenment, hearers and solitary realizer, and then there's Mahayana enlightenment. And none of them would be considered when one realizes the nature of reality. Now, realizing the nature of reality is a cause for being enlightened. And the reason this is one realizes the nature of reality along what's called the 5 paths at the third path. There's 5 paths are the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, path of meditation, and the path of no more learning. And the first 2 paths of accumulation and preparation, one is learning and coming to the incontrovertible understanding that the I is not truly established, that the I is empty, but still exists. It's a very fine line between the two that one needs to analyze for a very long time, and it becomes more and more clear what it means as you do. So you go through the path of accumulation and path of preparation where you're becoming very familiar to the point of where it's not controvertible. You know emptiness is real. And then at the path of seeing, you actually directly perceive emptiness, whatever that means. You have the experience of the lack of true establishment. You realize the identitylessness of the self and so forth in an experience that's non-conceptual. It's a non-conceptual experience. That's at the path of seeing. At that point, coarse afflictions, the afflictions are the negativities that we have in our mental continuum. Our mental continuum is what keeps being born over and over again, according to Buddhism. And the negativities are called afflictions. And when we see emptiness directly, because these negativities have at their root ignorance, the coarse ones are just done away with because we no longer incorrectly perceive things the way that we did. And we know for sure from an experience that things don't operate the way we previously thought that they did. So at that point, the coarse afflictions are then gotten rid of. And then for a Hinayanists, they go through various practices of refinement to get to the point where they become arhats. The Mahayanists become a Buddha. And they go through a series of much more refining of understanding of emptiness, getting rid of all of the afflictions, and then getting rid of the imprints of the afflictions too. So that's the difference between the enlightenments. There's an enlightenment of a Hinayanist that's nirvana. You hear of nirvana. And then there's the reality of a Buddha. The nirvana, those beings still have the imprints left of the afflictions, just no afflictions. That's what keeps them from being omniscient. That's what keeps them from being all-knowing. That's the kind of barrier to all-knowing. And it's stated that it's the removal of those through various paths and understanding that allows one to become omniscient, to become a Buddha. Not omnipotent. There's no omnipotence in Buddhahood, in Buddhism. There's just omniscience, and there's a belief that everyone will achieve it, that all beings have the same ingredients. Back to this cause and effect thing, that all of us have the ingredients to become enlightened, just like the Buddha did. So there's no reason to say that we don't all have a Buddha nature about us, because we all have that potential, because we have a consciousness that can be turned into something which is all good and has no fault. So life after life, you're trying to remove faults from this consciousness, according to Buddhism. You're trying to clean the faults and remove ignorance. And a Buddha is someone who has removed all the faults and the imprints of the faults and has no ignorance. All right, concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. Tu Chena Rinpoche, Gongel Mepachik. Sorry, I had a moment. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well, with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Gyatso, may you say until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tuji Rinpoche Gutsi Shapi Denrana.